Welcome back to BestCare forum. In previous videos we have started the videos about foot conditions and all the points what we need to know when we are going for making a custom-made orthopedic shoes. But now what we have to do is, now in this video I will explain to you the points which is important when you are taking measurement of the foot with the patient, and you want to see how to do it. Stay with us now and I will explain to you with my colleagues step by steps. Thank you very much. Let's go and watch the video.
I'm now going to do the complete process of measuring a foot using the bespoke orthopedic method in one go. Okay, so David, if you would stand on the papers. I've got two pieces of paper. I'm just going to do the left foot, but if I was doing both feet, I want to do them both at once, so that what I do here, and it's all balanced. So I'm going to roll up the trousers so I can make sure that I can see all around the ankle, and I check with the client whether the hose, the socks, or the whatever is being worn is the appropriate sock for the shoe or boot that's going to be worn. For instance, if David was going to have a fell boot, he might want to have thick socks on. So making sure that there's paper all the way around the foot, I'm now going to trace the foot with a pen. This pen is 7 millimeters wide. That's important to make a note. I'll just write 7 millimeter pen. And that's important because the point of the pen is going to be 3.5 or half of 7 out from the edge of the foot. So I need to know that the pen mark is 3.5 millimeters here, 3.5 millimeters here, and 3.5 millimeters here, larger than the foot. Okay. So I want the heel cup to be one complete sweep. So I start on the inside or the medial side, and I come around, and as I go, I make sure the pen is vertical and held firmly against the edge of the foot. It's going to do it in one complete move. Sometimes you'll catch the inner ankle bone, but that's fine, and that's done. This is a size stick, and if you don't have a size stick, you can just push a matchbox up against the end of the toe and mark where the bottom of the matchbox is. But we have this beautiful tool, and so David is now standing. So as I push that in, I can see that the standing measure is 262. So I go ST for standing 262. Okay, so that's done. So now I'm holding David's foot. So David, if you could sit, please. So now that foot hasn't moved on the paper. Pick up the size stick. And now I move in, and we have 259. So SI for sitting is 259. So what's happened there is when David was standing, his arch came down. You see how my foot gets long? And then when he sat, the weight came off, so his arch came up a bit, and so his foot got a bit shorter. So those two measures tell us the amount of spring that's still in the arch. 4 millimeters difference or 3 millimeters difference is very good. No worries there. So now we're going to use the tape measure to do the circumference. Because David's sitting, I'm going to slide under, and there's the 5th metatarsal and the 1st metatarsal. Now, palpating in there, I can actually feel the joint in a way that visually you can't see. So it's a very felt process, and I can even move the toe and feel where the metatarsal ends and where the proximal phalange of the toe begins. So I can actually feel exactly where the foot is going to bend. And I lay the tape on, and I pull it until it feels right. See, I could go, as much as 262, but that feels too loose. Or I could tighten it right down to 256, but I think that might be a bit tight for David. So my feeling is around about 259 millimeters is the right pressure, because the measure I write here will be the size of the last. The size of the last will be the size of the inside of the shoe. So what turns off the inside of the tape becomes the inside of the shoe. So I'm actually gauging how much pressure I want to have on that shoe. So I'm going to write 259. Then you remember the next one was behind the joint. So it comes around a bit because now I'm going at a slightly different angle. So it's still the fifth metatarsal phalangeal joint, the fifth ball joint of the fifth toe, but it's moved around slightly because we've moved around the sphere. But in here I'm palpating and feeling that little adductor hallucis muscle in there, the soft tissue. That's the going on of the foot. And we remember we talked about how that's where as the heel goes through the quarters, this is the part where the shoe is held on and where the foot can go into the shoe. So I'm feeling that, and I feel 249 is right for that. So I'm marking behind the joint and marking the fifth toe joint. 249. Okay, so just feeling along the fifth metatarsal, and I can feel the base. So behind the base is the perineal notch. There's the lump of the base, and I want to come just forward of that, and I can feel the muscles of the digiti minimi abductor muscle that pulls the little toe out. Nice soft part of the foot that I can hold the shoe on with. And now my thumb, I come up the second metatarsal, the first metatarsal, there's like a groove in between. I come up, and suddenly that groove ends, and there's the first cuneiform and the second cuneiform. It's the second cuneiform I want, and I can just feel in there and feel the bone through all the tendons and tissues, and I can feel the front, the anterior lipping, very, very distinctive. So I'm going from there to there. So bring the tape from there to there on top of that bone, and I'm just measuring that. And that's coming out at about, feels right at about 246. Laying that flat, tracing the tape both sides. So from this I'll be able to tell when I'm making the last, everything forward of this is metatarsals and will not bend. Everything behind is little square bones like cuneiforms and navicular cuboid. These are where the flexing and the shock absorption is. So the fourth measure, I come back, and there's the perineal notch underneath there, and here's the top of the instep. You can see foot sweeps up and suddenly it climbs the shin. Very, very distinct point. So in the perineal notch and around the top of the instep, and that is 258. So marking that, and write 258. Now at some point, and I haven't done it yet, I could have done it earlier, but at some point before the foot moves, I want to measure the arch. So there's two things I want to do. I want to hold the pen at 45 degrees to the base plane, to the paper, and the reason for that is, say I'm measuring there, where the pen hits the paper and draws the line, because it's 45 degrees, from the edge of the foot to that line is the same as from the edge of the foot up, okay, because it's 45 degrees. And the other thing I want to do is keep the pen at 90 degrees as I come along. There's the axis of the foot, 90 degrees to the axis. And that's because I want the pen mark here to be represented directly by the pen mark inside. So a lot of people make the mistake of going like that, but of course then they don't know what part of the line is being represented. So 45 degrees and parallel to the 90 degrees to the axis, and I just come along in one sweep. Okay, so David, if you lift your foot off you can see there's the arch line, and so I know at that point from there to there is the same as from there to there, because it's 45 degrees. So I know how high that arch is. The same here, that from there to there is the same as from there to there. So that's a very, very useful measure. And you can see how the foot comes underneath the ball joint. The ball joint curves under at that point. And then the fifth and sixth measures to finish are around the heel bulb. So the same points we found, the second cuneiform bone, top of the instep, are the points that we're going to use for this measure. So again, I come up, find the two metatarsal bones, come up where they end, there's the second cuneiform bone, find the anterior lipping very accurately, put 0, you see the 0 there, straight on top of that, then wrapping around, capturing the heel of the bulb and going on top, and there I have 361. See where the 3, 6, 1 crosses the 0. And so that's the long heel, L, H, long heel, 3, 6, 1. Now the top of the instep, I can put that there. See that where the instep comes, ends, climbs up. That's where I don't want to go any higher with the lace panels on a shoe. So it's really important to know where that is. Otherwise, you know, when you go to take a step, the laces dig into the foot. So hold it there, I come around, and this time I've got 339. So SH, short heel, 339. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measures, 2 length measures. Now I just want to demonstrate why that short heel measure is important. So if David lifts his foot, it's this short heel measure is the pass line for a boot. So if you're making a Wellington boot or a zip-up boot or elastic-sided boot, this is where the foot just squeezes through and then the heel pops down. It's called the choke or the going on or the throat of the boot. So that short heel is a very critical measure. So if we take the foot off, here we have a standing length, a sitting length, a trace of the foot, and we know that that trace is 3.5 millimeters larger than the foot. And then we have the joint measure from the first toe joint to the fifth, the behind the joint, fifth toe joint to behind the joint, instep measure going from just forward of the base of the fifth metatarsal. So we know that the base of the fifth metatarsal is sitting right in there. That's really important to know. And that's wrapping around the first cuneiform. And then in the perineal notch is the top of the instep measure. And then we have the long heel measure to the cuneiform and the short heel measure to the top of the instep. So now I know that as we go up into a high heel, this gets further and further forward, but the bend line is always there. I also know that as the shoe gets higher, that the crank of the shoe, that the foot bends in there, and that's where you get pronation and supination and all that occurs. I know very, very accurately, in a way that you couldn't with a scan, I can predict every shape that the foot will take as it walks, as it jumps, as it stands, as it sits, and as it runs from this simple drawing.
Stay with us and subscribe and share this video with all your friends and colleagues when you know that they can also get useful information from our channel. Thank you very much for supporting. See you soon. If you are a CPO or an orthotist, prosthetist, or a doctor, or you are a patient, please, for any questions and inquiries, contact me with 00971 509110216. This is my mobile number from UAE. Also my email address You will right now see it on the display. Please save this mobile number and this email address with you. I will be available for you 24/7. Anytime you have a question, contact me and you will get answered immediately. Thank you very much.